Hello, this is her. I'm doing wonderful. How are you? This is still a perfect time with me. hmm All right. Okay. Yes. Yep. That was my job or my role. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. hmm The only thing I have is a second ear hole, but I just never wore earrings in. hmm It's like the one right above the other sort of thing. hmm Exactly. I do. Okay. So when we first got down there, I had five other roommates. So it was six of us total. We ended up getting Chatham, and we were in the triple occupancy room. So we had the two bedrooms, three people per bedroom. We did all meet beforehand, so we all found each other on Facebook. So we had been talking with each other beforehand, getting to know each other. So when we got there, it was almost like we already knew each other, which was awesome. Um, the room wasn't exactly what we wanted, but it actually ended up working out perfectly. The two of us who got a bunk bed, like I was on the top bunk just because I didn't really mind it, and I ended up loving it. And we spent no time in our rooms anyway. We always, if we were there at the apartment, we were always in the living room together. We got along really well, especially for having never met each other. And yeah, we had a wonderful experience. I actually ended up meeting my best friend. She was one of my roommates, and we're actually trying to get back down to Orlando and stay there permanently. But yeah, and we actually never really had any conflicts. None that were major. I think there was one time that there was one girl in our room who didn't wash her dishes one night, so we were like, "Hey, Haley, can you wash your dishes?" And she did, and that was the only thing we ever ran into, was just picking up after, making sure everybody's on top of their own things and cleaning them. But I did extend my program, and I spent the summer in the Commons, which was awesome. And my friend that I had met uh, on from the first group, the girl who soon became my best friend, she extended with me, so we lived together in the Commons. And yeah, that's about it. hmm hmm Definitely I would focus more on that educational component. My first time I was still trying to kind of do it all. I did take a class. I did the interactive learning program class, my first program. I was working, and then besides, trying to enjoy my time in the parks, I feel like I didn't really take advantage of the opportunities that were provided by Disney Housing to network and learn more. So I definitely would love to do that. I would like to pursue a professional internship in the future. So I want to definitely go to the programs that the housing provides to meet with the leaders in the company, so that I can hopefully get an internship in the future. Hmm. Definitely what I enjoyed most about it was being able to highly affect each guest's experience and their outlook on Disney. I loved having that much really power and responsibility to make sure that their vacation was everything that they hoped for, whether that was getting the room that they were hoping for, or making sure that they got fast passes for all the attractions so that they would have time to do things that they never would have thought to do, or just giving them advice with what to do in Disney. I have always loved Disney, so I went into it knowing a lot about Disney. So that really did help me be able to advise guests on what to do. So that was literally the perfect job. I absolutely had a blast, and being able to get to do that every day was amazing. I absolutely loved being able to take their vacations and like make it more than what they expected. I spent a lot of most of my time I was assigned at the All Stars, but I was actually deployed for 2 months at the Art of Animation, and I was able to do a lot there just because we usually like to surprise a couple families every day with maybe upgrading them from the Little Mermaid rooms to the family suites, and that was always a wonderful way to make a magical moment there. So it was almost every day there was some sort of thing that just made my day and somebody else's day, and I miss that. I really do. I know. it, Oh, I was just gonna say, like, it seemed like we tried to make one whenever we could, even like at All Stars. I remember standing behind the desk one day, and like a manager came up and was like, "Okay, we're gonna make some magical moments. Like, give me some names of some guests that you had today." And we would make little notes like, "Oh, this family was so cute. They had this little boy." So we would like go and make a little gift basket and like drop it off in their room, and it was awesome because they weren't expecting it. I love that. Hmm. Oh yeah. That was also something we got every day. Yeah. Yeah, of course. We got a lot of issues. A lot of times it was just miscommunication. A guest maybe thinking that they were going to get one thing and it wasn't exactly what they expected. A lot of times, whenever somebody was upset, it was just because they were afraid they weren't going to get the most out of their vacation, or, um, their money's worth for their vacation. So, probably a specific instance I can think of was a lot of times we had issues with magic bands. They would go to the door, it wouldn't work. They'd come down, we would recode them, think that it's fine, and then they get up to their room and it doesn't work again. I think there was one time I had a family that it had happened to them 3 or 4 times, and I felt so bad, and they were getting restless, and I really did feel for them, and you know, um, it was hard for both of us just because I was trying, doing all that I could on my side to make sure that it would work, but for some reason the technology didn't want to cooperate. So they were definitely getting impatient, And I just kind of took that moment and I went ahead and took care of the compensation. So whenever there was a time that I felt that I was wasting the guest time or that the guests were losing some of their precious vacation time, my first instinct was always to give them fast passes because I feel like that was a great way to kind of give them back that time as opposed to being like, here's $50. It was more personal to me because they could, and fast passes aren't exactly easy. You only get three, so to know like, oh, here's three more, they'd be like, oh my gosh, wow, we can do everything we wanted to now. We can ride the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Oh my god. Um, so in this specific case, I did give the family back some fast passes, and then I went and got the key, and I personally walked with them to their room to make sure that they actually got into the room that time. And even if for some reason their magic bands weren't working, I could at least I used the master key to at least let them into the room and get comfortable and so that they can start their vacation off on a high note. Um, but yeah, in that case, the family was really excited. They had two little boys with them, and they were pumped because this was at the All-Star Sports, and they were in the baseball section, which was their favorite sport. So it's the little things like that. You just got to take that, and they really do appreciate it. So, yeah. Yeah. Probably the one that we saw the most at the resorts were in the case of emergency situations were probably missing children. Especially in the lobby of the All Stars. It would get busy, families would get separated, and we a lot of times ended up at the front desk with a child. So there was actually one time that I did notice that there was a somebody, a boy in the lobby who had nobody with him. So the line wasn't long. I left to the front desk. Well, even if the line had been there, I would have asked or brought it to the attention of a manager. But I went and on my way to see the boy, I let a manager know that I think I found somebody that had lost his parents, and I went and greeted the boy, kind of made him feel more comfortable, and then brought him over to the desk. And one of my coworkers was at the desk and kind of communicating with my managers. The managers had contacted the police, and luckily, one of the great things with when the children go missing is almost always they have their magic band on them. So we were able to use his magic band to find out who his parents were, and we called the room and let them know that their son was waiting in the lobby. So I just kind of sat with him over in the little area by the television and waited with him until his parents got there. And, they were happy. So I just kind of let him know to make sure he's always wearing his magic band because even if it happened in the parks or anything like that, they can always use those magic bands to kind of find them and let them know. So yeah. hmm Yes. My definitely the reason why I was highly interested in attractions is because somewhere along my career with Disney, I would love to end up in guest relations. Um, so I feel like I've already gotten that experience of the sort of interactions I would encounter in guest relations with being a concierge. But I would love to kind of see the other side and be in the parks and get the experience from behind the scenes there and kind of become more familiar with the way they work there just because that is where guest relations is. And I really do feel like attractions would be the best way to do that. Plus, I love it just because I want to be part of, I loved being a part of the story and making it happen for the guests, but I want to be in the story. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to kind of create those magic moments for guests in a really different way. Um, I know I'm really interested in some of the high guest interaction roles or attractions, I should say, just because I want to be able to still have that interaction with the guests, kind of like what I had at Concierge, but just in a very different way. Um, but that's definitely why I'm most interested in attractions, is because I think it'd be a blast to kind of be a part of the story. I definitely would try to flip the situation around, just because that does, I'm sure, happen all the time. Um, I would definitely try to maybe request another attraction in the area for them and kind of get them excited about them and make it sound like a bigger deal than it is, because it it really would be a disappointing thing for the child. Maybe if he thought he was the height and then finally got there and realized he wasn't this year. For instance, if I were like at the Jungle Cruise or something and he wasn't tall enough, I would refer maybe to the Magic Carpets of Aladdin, or even like, well, he probably wouldn't be tall enough for Thunder Mountain and those rides if he weren't tall enough, or even Pirates of the Caribbean, which is such a great ride, uh, and try to get him excited about that and distract him by talking about, like, oh, do you like pirates or something like that? Are you more of a pirate, or you think you're like Aladdin? Or, I don't know, try to twist it and distract him and make him excited about something else. hmm I would love this position just because, again, it would be another one that would have high guest interaction. So whether that be checking them out at the cash register or interacting with them on the floor, I would honestly really enjoy that. One of my friends did that when we were on the program, and she loved it. So hearing about that, it really made me excited, and I could definitely see myself in that position. Plus, I kind of like at the same time, having the time to restock and kind of do other jobs. There's a lot of different aspects to that role, and I think that that would be definitely fun and different to do. I would definitely. I know I've actually been in that situation before, from a guest side, and I really appreciated it when they offered to find out the nearest location where I could find that. I know they've got a database where they can find out exactly what stores hold that item, and how many they've even got in stock. If there's a location that only has one in stock, I might not recommend that one. But letting them know what other locations that they can go, or what lengths they can go to make sure that they get that item. Um, just because I know sometimes it could be something special that they really want on that trip. So I would do my very best to find it for them. Yeah. Um, that is exactly just what, like what you said. I would love to, even if it's not the concierge role, kind of get back to the resort area, because I really do have a deep love for the parks. But since my first role with Disney was concierge, it would be really cool to kind of see another role within the resorts area, kind of see what that is, and if that meant being at a different resort than I was before, I would love to get that experience, just kind of in a new environment. And even maybe talk to the concierge there and see what it's like to work there if I ever did maybe get the concierge role again, in my future, and just to see what the environment is in a new location, because I do love the resorts, and to be with the guests again, that's another high guest interaction with helping them there. So I would love to do that. hmm hmm Honestly, it would be those ones that I chose as my high interest ones. I mean, I feel like I would be qualified for attractions just because I have a theater past. So being able to kind of go into the parks and be able to put on a show in an attraction atmosphere would be fantastic. I mean, there's all of those famous attractions where you're not just standing there in a costume, you're actually playing a character. Um, that just amazes me. And I feel like with my acting experience, it would be awesome to be able to do that, especially the ones that have more like heavy speaking roles, like the Jungle Cruise or something like that. just that high guest interaction, being able to talk to them and interact with them, I think I'm most definitely most qualified for that role in particular. But secondly, probably bell services, just because of my experience with concierge and working with bell services. It would be I feel qualified just because I've seen that, and it would be neat to work from the other side as well. Hmm. Hmm. Yes, I do. um, the Jungle Cruise actually is my if I could say even a dream attraction, but I would love to do that just because I mean, who wouldn't want to be able, get paid to tell cheesy puns to guests and make them laugh all day? I would absolutely adore that. And just to be able to interact with them a little bit more than some of the other attractions. But I also love, and I love Kilimanjaro Safari is an amazing attraction. And even places like Expedition Everest or, I mean, Tower of Terror, those are all awesome. But honestly, Tower and Terror and Haunted Mansion, I don't know if I'd be the best for those just because I think I might smile too much. I wouldn't be able to like hold in my laughter or anything like that. But if I had to though, I most definitely could put on that character and play that role. But Jungle Cruise would be amazing. Um, and then if I got Bell Services or if I were in the resorts, I would love to explore. I know I know they don't really have Bell Services in the value resorts. Because it was like a different company, so I wouldn't be able to go back to my home, unfortunately. But it would be really cool to maybe explore the Wilderness Lodge or the Polynesian, just because they are so highly themed. I love that. Take kind of like the highly theming of the Valley Resorts, but a little different. The Polynesian would be absolutely amazing. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. It sounds fantastic. I actually do have one. It's actually about housing. Um, if I did, so for instance, my roommate that I lived with before, she's actually hopefully heading back down this summer as well for a program. And she's going to have an apartment. Would I have the option to opt out of CP housing to live with her, or is that one of the requirements as a summer alumni CP? Hmm. Okay. Yeah. All right, because I did absolutely adore living on the Disney housing. But if I had the option to be with her again, if I did have the opportunity to go back down to do another CP, that would be awesome. So, all right. Well, thank you so much. No, it's my pleasure. Of course. Thank you, Christy. It's been a pleasure. All right. Thank you so much. Bye. Yay.